Thank you, Chairman Wheeler, for those inspiring remarks. Once again, we appreciate your willingness to make time on your busy schedule to be with us on this special occasion. As the chairman leaves, I want to take a moment to thank the Museum Institute for live streaming this morning's events. Not only does it enable more people around the country to hear these messages, but it also makes it easier for Everett Parker to join us as we celebrate his legacy. I'm Sara Fitzgerald, a member of the Board of Directors of OC Inc., and this morning it is my privilege to introduce the recipient of this year's Donal H. McGannon Award. This award was created in memory of a good friend of Everett Parker, former Westinghouse Broadcasting Chairman Don McGannon, in recognition of his commitment to social responsibility and creating opportunities for women and people of color in the media. This year, Catherine J.K. Sandoval joins the list of distinguished men and women who have carried on Don McGannon's tradition. Catherine Sandoval was the first Latina to win a Rhodes Scholarship, and in 2011, she became the first Latino to serve as a member of the California Public Utilities Commission. She now serves as co-vice chair of the Telecommunications Committee of the National Association of Regulatory Commissioners and policy chair of the FCC's Federal-State Joint Committee on Advanced Telecommunications Services. She is a tenured law professor at Santa Clara University, and since 2007, she has served on the board of expert advisors of the California Emergency Technology Fund. As a staff member of another advocacy organization put it, Commissioner Sandoval has brought a, quote, new and important perspective that had been missing in the Commission's 100-year history. For example, she questioned surveys that were conducted only in English and asked whether utilities should spend more of their marketing dollars with media that serve minority communities. She has been a particular advocate for rural and Native American tribal areas in California, recognizing the challenges that they face in getting access to advanced services. Through all of this, she is still viewed as a consensus builder who is bipartisan in her approach, working with governors from both political parties. Commissioner Sandoval brings the whole package: a deft legal mind, impassioned advocacy, and a deep understanding of the interplay between media, telecommunications, and the public interest. As director of the FCC's Office of Communications Business Opportunities in the late 1990s, she directed a series of studies to look at the reasons for the lack of diversity in media ownership and to help figure out what the FCC could do about it. A colleague describes her leadership and work at the FCC as unprecedented. Those studies still stand today as the most serious work the agency has ever done to explore diversity in media ownership. In the words of someone who has worked beside Commissioner Sandoval, quote, she understands business realities and the inherent obstacles facing small business and women and minority-owned businesses, especially new entrants in the areas of media, telecommunications, and energy. She has worked throughout her career to eliminate or reduce those barriers. Her colleagues describe her as a wise advisor, a creative but pragmatic, out-of-the-box thinker whose approach is still founded in strong legal research. And she has always worked alongside many other nonprofit organizations and advocates, sharing her legal analysis, her political acumen, and her passionate belief that media and telecommunications can and should serve all the people. It is my privilege to present this year's Donal H. McGannon Award to Catherine Sandoval.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this great honor on this beautiful fall day here in our nation's capital. It really is a pleasure and honor to be with you. So just wanted to say a few words of thanks, as I am deeply honored and humbled by this recognition from the United Church of Christ and its Office of Communications, organizations that I have very long admired. Today we gathered to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the petition by the UCC that led to the recognition of the right of the public to participate in FCC proceedings, an important precedent and principle for public policy and democratic government. as I have had the pleasure of teaching my students of communications law both at Santa Clara University and at UC Berkeley. Thanks to the work of the UCC and Dr. Everett Parker and all of those who worked with him, and at the suggestion of Dr. Martin Luther King, who founded the Office of Communications at the UCC along with Dr. Parker, and to the dedicated staff and directors of the Office of Communications Ministry, including Cheryl Leanza, who continues to work with all the directors and staff of the UCC to continue to fight the fight for media justice. And also special thanks to the broadcasters, such as Donal H. McGannon, for whom this award is named, for it is their dedication to serve their local community and the public interest that inspires our work today and has changed our nation. So as I reflected about the work of the UCC, the Office of Communications, and Donald McGannon, I recalled how this work inspired and indeed changed my life. As a little girl growing up in East Los Angeles, I saw on the television stories about the civil rights movement and efforts to change the laws to create equal opportunities for minorities and women. These ignited my dreams to become a lawyer. My family had moved from a mobile home park in Los Angeles, where the 5 of us lived in one trailer, surrounded by really wonderful people I still remember from the trailer park. And then we got to move up to the barrio, where we lived in an apartment. Through television, I was inspired by the contributions of lawyers such as Thurgood Marshall. And at age 6, I announced I wanted to be a lawyer. Gracias, Mom and Dad, for never saying to me how we don't know any lawyers or that no one in our neighborhood was a lawyer. Indeed, it was television and newspapers and stories of the work of Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Parker, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, the writer for the Los Angeles Times, Ruben Salazar, Thurgood Marshall, and others who inspired all of us to dream big. So today I stand before you as a lawyer, a law professor, a regulator, a former broadcaster through my own work as general counsel of Z Spanish Media and a vice president of Entravision. And I've been proud through these roles to work for the public interest. I'm also grateful to FCC Chairman Reed Hunt and Bill Kennard, to the former FCC Chief of Staff Blair Levin, and to my former colleagues at the Office of Communications Business Opportunities at the FCC, including my friend Janelle Trigg and Karen Beverly, and to former Chairman Janikowski, to Chairman Wheeler, and to FCC's Commissioners Clyburn for your example and leadership, Commissioner Rosenworcel's Pye and O'Reilly, and to the dedicated staff of the FCC, and to all of the public for participating in the FCC proceedings and for the opportunity to work in the public interest. You know, thinking back to those days, we were privileged to work at the FCC in the early days of the Telecommunications Act, when the World Wide Web was newly available to the public. In fact, I remember when I first started at the FCC, they trained us on FTP protocol and green screens. That training came in handy recently when I had to get some maps that I had actually commissioned overlaying unserved and underserved areas by broadband with areas of high wildfire danger in tribal areas. There is a tremendous correlation. So through this work, we connected schools, libraries, and rural health clinics to the internet, laying the foundation for the internet access we have today. And as Chairman Wheeler said, today the internet enables readers to be speakers and publishers. As a young girl, I loved it when the bookmobile came to our East LA neighborhood. And now the internet brings a virtual Library of Congress, an international library, the printing press, a paper route, and a broadcast platform to the children and adults all over the world. As a scholar, I've had the opportunity to study the intersection of high-tech law and social justice. That is the legacy that Dr. Parker has also left to us. I'm very grateful to the support of Santa Clara University and its School of Law. SCU is a Jesuit institution dedicated to developing competent, skilled, and informed leaders who act with conscience and compassion to build a more humane, just, and sustainable world. And that is their mission. Look it up on the webpage. And I'm very proud to say that this semester, Santa Clara University launched 1 gigabit per second internet access on campus and announced that soon, by the end of this semester, the campus will have 11 gigabit per second internet access. That is awesome. So this will make Santa Clara University a world-class leader in internet access, enabling student and faculty research to promote sustainability and innovation. And this is part of why I have argued that no minimum speed could serve all users, but that users should be able to choose for themselves what speeds they need to enable innovation and ideas. And I'd like to also give many thanks to many of my colleagues and friends who have been allies in this work, including the Minority Media and Telecommunications Council and its Emeritus Executive Director, David Honig, to Professor Alan Hammond, Professor Len Baines, who is now the Dean of the University of Houston Law School, to Dr. Carolyn Byerly, who I've collaborated with on comments to the FCC, Professor Anthony Verona, Professor Philip Napoli from the McGannon Center, and many others for their collaboration and encouragement on our work for media access and justice for women and minorities. And special thanks also to SCU Law Dean Lisa Kloptenberg and former Dean Don Polden for their support and dedication to scholarship and teaching. Last, I'd like to take a minute to share with you some of my current work as a commissioner of the California Public Utilities Commission, and to thank Governor Jerry Brown for the opportunity to serve the people of California in this role. As the first Latino or Latina ever to be appointed to the CPUC in its 100-year history, I am grateful to be able to make a difference for the people of California, and in collaboration with my colleagues at the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, my federal and local colleagues, to work together to make a difference to improve communications, energy, water, and other service throughout this great nation. During my term, I am proud to have led the expansion of California's Lifeline program to include mobile phone service, text, and internet access. So this summer, one Spanish-speaking woman told the CPUC's Low Income Oversight Board that she didn't know how much she was missing until she had a California Lifeline phone that provides over 1,000 minutes of voice service and 200 texts a month, and a smartphone for free as an eligible low-income subscriber and affordable internet access. And using internet-enabled databases and technology, California verifies each and every applicant, protecting the program's integrity and bringing vital services to improve people's lives and expand their opportunities. As was mentioned, as a CPUC commissioner, I have also had the honor of working with several of California's Native American tribes, rural and disadvantaged urban communities to improve service and access. In April 2014, we brought the first ever telephone service to much of the Yurok Reservation located north of Eureka, California. And the Yurok are California's largest tribe. The state of California, with our 38 million people, has more tribes than any other state, and we also have 10% of the rural population of the United States. In June 2013, I am very proud that electric service was energized for the first time on much of the Yurok Nation. This culminated a decade-long effort by the Yurok tribe, the CPUC, the Rural Utilities Service, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, PG&E, Verizon, particularly Tim McCallion, Western Region CEO of Verizon, who I would like to give special thanks to, my CPUC colleagues, including my fellow commissioners, Communications Division Director Ryan Doolin, my Telecommunications Advisor Bill Johnston, my Chief of Staff Ditas Katagi, and Assistant Valerie Maliette, Humboldt and Del Norte counties, and the North Coast Broadband Consortium, and many others. In May of 2014, I was inspired to and honored to celebrate these milestones with the Yurok tribe and to visit with the Tyner family, who told us that in the 2 weeks since they had had a telephone, they had already made a 911 call to report a brush fire. That call, that simple telephone, saved lives. It stopped a brush fire from becoming a wildfire in a place where the nearest cell phone service is a 45-minute drive. And Mr. Tyner's father, who lives with them and who is totally blind, uses the telephone to call a service called Tell Me to read him the news. A fitting reminder as we are here in the newseum. The Tyner children and other members of the tribe are excited to have internet access that, while now dial-up speed, at least the telephone gave them dial-up, soon will be broadband speed through a California Advanced Services Fund grant from the CPUC to build broadband internet service on the Yurok Reservation and the neighboring Karuk tribe. And thanks to the leadership of the Yurok tribe and its IT director, Paul Romero, to the Karuk tribe and its IT director, Eric Cutright, DeForest James, consultant for the Klamath River Broadband Initiative, the CPUC, the California Legislature, the California Emerging Technology Fund. Thanks to the efforts of so many people, planning and construction is now underway. So a special ayuki to my friends in the Karuk tribe and an ayukwi to my friends in the Yurok tribe. I'm also very proud to say that on this Friday, I am returning to the Yurok Reservation to meet with members of the tribe to continue our collaboration to bring electricity service and telephone service to the last third of the reservation. No child in America should have to live without electricity and basic communication service. And I appreciate all of your support and work to make that so. As we also think about the internet and the contributions that it makes to the future, we think about technologies we consider old, like a telephone, and how transformational they can be, and they have been in places like the Yurok Nation. And then as you go nearby, you go from the Yurok Nation to the Karuk Nation, nearby to the Hoopa Valley Reservation in Hoopa, California, which is also near Eureka. I have been very inspired by the work of the Hoopa, where the Hoopa children are using the Xbox to create video game avatars of themselves, speaking in the Hoopa language, dressed in Hoopa costumes, and doing Hoopa dances. These young creators are learning valuable technology skills while preserving the Hoopa language and culture in a new way. In my testimony last month on the Open Internet proceeding at the forum convened by Congresswoman Matsui, I highlighted the example of the Hoopa video game project as an innovative use of broadband where the Hoopa children are the edge providers. They are content creators without external editors who enrich and inform all of us. And that is why I have actually supported the use of Section 706 and Title II to protect speakers like the Hoopa children. So in closing, I would like to give special thanks to my husband, Stephen Smith, to my sisters, Barbara Sandoval and Anna Lugo, to my niece, Carolina Lugo, my stepchildren, Christina and Hannah, to my familia, my friends and colleagues, and to my students. And thanks to the UCC for this honor and for your work. And I look forward to continuing our work together to achieve universal service, to enable dreams, and to empower this great nation. Gracias.
Thank you so much, and thanks to Kathy. You can see why we call her a national treasure. And just tucked in there was, well, I was in the middle of doing this overlay of the fire records and the cell phone service. That's quintessential Cathy Sandoval. It's get the technology and the policy and put it all together in a strong advocacy. So we really appreciate having you here and being able to honor you. I am Cheryl Leanza, and I'm the policy advisor for the United Church of Christ, OC Inc. And I am here to give the final award, the Parker Award, to our dear, dear friend, Makani Themba. The Parker Award honors an individual whose work embodies the principles and values of the public interest in telecommunications. And Makani couldn't be a more perfect, fitting recipient of this award. Throughout her long career, Makani has been a pioneer in developing the field of justice communications. She began as a media director in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Los Angeles, and then a media strategist supporting a range of progressive causes. It was in Los Angeles that she first engaged the public in getting involved in reviewing broadcast station licensing. Later, at the Center for Media and Policy Analysis at the Marin Institute, in a 3-year, 7-coalition project, she began demonstrating the important role that media can play in public health, developing strategies that were replicated nationwide, including, for example, policy initiatives focused on tobacco and alcohol advertising in Baltimore. That work led to her real focus on health issues as it relates to the media and has become a focus of her time as the executive director of the Praxis Project. Beyond just those accomplishments, Makani is unique about how she goes about her work. She's unique as an activist. She has carved out a singular voice that speaks out not about media reform per se, which can seem very esoteric and unrelated to our lives, but about media and the issues of race and class in order to advocate for public policies that will improve public health, and in particular for the health and the survival of the African American community. Makani brings a laser focus to everything she does, but maintains a warmth and a calm that belies her skill and acumen. She addresses current inequities as a matter of fact, an underlying condition that must be understood if we hope to tackle media justice and other political issues. Her combination of warmth and intelligence with strategy and tactics is astounding and formidable. Throughout her career, Makani has worked hard to build networks of grassroots activists, whether at the local or even the international level. She's traveled tirelessly to make speeches and participate in workshops while turning out educational resources, essays, articles, and books, always returning to the theme that understanding and overcoming the intersection of race, class, and media can lead to progressive change. 50 years after Everett Parker conducted his own monitoring studies, Makani is still finding new ways to demonstrate concretely the impact that media can have on underserved communities and communities of color. Her latest book focused thoughtfully on the unique communication environment we knew we would face under the first African-American president, President Obama. It was called Fair Game, a strategy guide for racial justice communications in the Obama era. And those of us who have communicated in this era understand how valuable it is to have somebody who's thinking critically and thoughtfully and offering tools and resources so that we all can engage in this communication and work together. And despite her prodigious creative output, Makani is very modest. She always works collaboratively. She encourages others. She's a mentor. She shares her expertise. She shares her credit. She shares the credit with everyone. She's an inspiration and mentor to dozens of young activists, including last year, Malkia Cyril's recipient of the McGannon Award. Makani's been a great mentor to Malkia, and I'm grateful to both Malkia and Makani's good friend, Nan Rubin, for helping me think about all the wonderful things and attributes. Makani's been always so gracious. She's been a particular role model for me as a mom, going out and doing this work and still, maintaining her role as a mom. And her warm, crinkling smile comes through on her warm laughter comes through on the phone whenever you talk with her, and it makes you feel like you can do anything when you talk with her. So for that reason, for all her accomplishments, I'm really honored to present this year's Everett C Parker Award to Makani Themba.
How's everyone? You're okay? I know sometimes eggs and potatoes, you're ready to just go to sleep, so I appreciate you staying awake. Cheryl, thank you so much. That was a beyond generous introduction. And I want to also thank Catherine Sandoval. I'm so honored to be in the same flyer with you, right? Your work is so incredible and so inspiring, and we've known each other over the years, and it's just so awesome to be in this room, like all dressed up with lipstick on. What? It's an awesome thing. And I also need to appreciate Chairman Wheeler, and I know that for those of us who have been sort of watching FCC evolve and do the work, this is kind of a good season. In many ways. And I also want to acknowledge, the leadership that listens, and Commissioner Clyburn as well for their leadership, especially on the prison phone work. That was just some awesome work. Of course, lots of work on the outside pushing, for sure, but it's nice to have something happen when you push all the time. Things don't always happen, so that was awesome. So thank you for that. And I also want to acknowledge, before I sort of dig into my remarks, my family who's here, over here at the table, my movement family and my biological family. And Cheryl, I say to you, I don't know what kind of role model is. My kids are here, you can ask them. I'm sure between you and their therapists, they can let you know how successful I actually am at doing all that. And I also want to especially thank my sister, who you'll hear from later, Jaribu Hill, for being here, all the way from Mississippi, and for her incredible work as a human rights lawyer and a cultural warrior. I'm really glad you're here. It makes it extra special. Thank you. And I also want to thank United Church of Christ Office of Communication. I mean, what an incredible institution that's inspired me for so long. And I have to say, I'm not that excited about awards usually. I'm not an award person, and people who know me, oftentimes I actually say no to them. But Everett Parker was such a personal hero of mine. And I cannot say how moved I am to receive an award in his name. Yes, just pioneering leadership, and a man who always understood that there can be no justice when people are silent. So I am so grateful for his legacy and for the constant work of UCC. This just means a lot. And in the 50th anniversary of the challenge filed against the license of WLBT in Jackson, Mississippi, it's just amazing. And I want to just say again, Reverend Parker, Aaron Henry, Reverend R.L.T. Smith, who filed that challenge 50 years ago. And you think, again, you could only get involved in FCC matters if you had an economic stake, or if the broadcaster signal created interference. To think about where we are now, and to think about the organizing and the work and the foundation of such a groundbreaking the groundbreaking decision. And I'm going to calm down because I'm so excited. It's always going to be a core inspiration to me. In fact, our work at the Praxis Project really is about working with communities for them to take policymaking in their own hands. And I actually have a copy of the front of the filing framed, because I've always felt like it was just such an important lever, and that people making policy, that really is what democracy is about. Voting is important, but that's just the baby steps. It's like when we come together and we make law together, that's when you know you have a democracy. And Everett Parker and R.L.T. Smith and Aaron Henry and all the people that were involved, the folks who monitored this station to find out what they were doing, who took the notes. This was a process that took literally hundreds of people, because progressive good law takes thousands of people to make. So that kind of work, that kind of inspiration, talking to folks who are a part of the story, it's always been very much a core of what I do and why I founded Praxis in the first place. So I have to say to you that Mississippi has been very much on my mind these days. There have been many milestone anniversaries this year. We've got the Freedom Summer, we've got the Civil Rights Act, the assassination of Medgar Evers, and many more things that we're celebrating in sort of 64. And I find myself reflecting on sort of the deep and inextricable link between access and content. And that for the last few years, in our work, we talk about them separately, as if they don't relate to each other. And in fact, we often talk about access as sort of the thing to go for, and content as the thing not to touch, like it's the third rail almost in media justice work. And I think what strikes me about reflecting on Reverend Parker and reflecting on the work of 64 is their understanding of how these things are linked. Access and content, just access and just content. I believe that they knew that what WLBT was doing was analogous to shouting fire in a crowded room. And we understand the regulation of speech in that context. But we don't think of the harm and danger that certain forms of speech, both the actual speaking of hate and then also the exclusion of voices and images, that again create stories in people's heads about who's worthy, who's deserving. Like, how did Kathy get inspired to become a lawyer? Who did she see on TV? How does that work? And who do our kids get to see now? And we think about the fight and the struggle and how that works together. The exclusion of our voices and the promotion of hate has helped to create an environment where certain folks' lives, Black lives, people of color, and in many cases, many women's lives are considered cheap. Access and content operate together. Media justice requires we address them both. Renisha McBride, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Oscar Grant, John T. Williams, Henry Glover, Juan Herrera, Amadou Diallo, Iman Morales, Eleanor Bumpers, Vincent Chin, and the 4 little girls murdered in a church basement 51 years ago last month, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, Denise McNair. There are so many more names to recall. There are so many names we don't know. And they number in the millions over centuries as we are reminded over and over again that our lives are cheap. Continuing the legacy of Reverend Parker is to break the complicity of media, especially news media, but not just, with our dehumanization. Of course, media bias and defamation, they do not pull the trigger, but they do help paint the target on our backs. And we have a blueprint from the work of Reverend Parker and UCC, from the UN Human Rights Frameworks for Access and Service. And we can do so much better, and we can be so much better. And in doing so, there's the opportunity to make media worthy of the public's airwaves as Reverend Parker himself imagined. And I want to close with the words of one of Mississippi's greatest freedom fighters, Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, whom Jaribu reminded me last night. Yesterday was her 97th birthday. So Miss Fannie, this is for you. And you know, she always had her way of just saying it. And this is it. She said, "It's time for America to get right." You know, that's the, you know, when your mom and grandma said, just get right. And as Reverend Parker and his comrades showed us decades ago, media justice, just access, and just content is a critical step in that direction. I am holding the vision that as we celebrate the 75th anniversary of this important decision, we will be able to say that all of us in this room and beyond helped America get right. Thank you again for this incredible honor.
It's always a great privilege just to be in the room and to be able to recognize people who have given so much inspiration. And I know we're almost done. So I know some of you have to go, but really we're almost done, and you do not want to miss Jaribu Hill because we heard her sing earlier, and she is amazing. So I want to give her your full attention. I want to also let you know, right after Jaribu sings, we're going to continue this conversation about ethics and media and the way to make the world right, because we're going to have a couple of panels, and I'll talk to you about them more, but they're going to be about religion and media, and then we're going to talk to Richard Prince about diversity in media. Jean Paul Shinsi is going to interview him. So there is more to come if you want to stay. But right now, I want to let you all know we're going to close the program with, as Makani said, Jaribu Hill. We thought it was only appropriate that we bring that somebody from Mississippi, that Mississippi be represented in the room, since so much of the work we talk about today originated in Mississippi. And we were delighted when Makani's friend Jaribu was able to be a part of the event. Jaribu is not only a singer, she is the founder and executive director of the Mississippi Worker Center for Human Rights. She works in the Delta and she works in Jackson. She's an amazing advocate, worthy of all sorts of honor on her own as a lawyer. But then on top of that, she was a professional singer for more than 15 years with a group called Serious Business. So she's agreed to bring us a reminder of the civil rights movement to our gathering through song this morning. And you will not want to miss a minute of her music. So I invite you to give your focused attention to Ms. Jaribu Hill.
Well, okay, first of all, this Baptist preacher's daughter is just at home. We having church. And I'm so full, I hope that I can do justice to one of Fannie Lou Hamer's extended family daughters, Makani Temba. It's such an honor for me to stand in support of this sister and just in celebration of her work and all that she means to us in Mississippi and across the world. I met Makani in Geneva, Switzerland, and we were like talking about the same stuff. We disagreed about the same stuff. We worked on many of the same issues. So I just give homage and I praise you for your work, sister. And I know that Fannie Lou is right there up in heaven looking down and smiling on you. And the role of music, I don't even have to tell you how important it is. I was talking to Sister Trigg earlier when we first met. And the role of music is just so understated. The role of culture is so understated. Amilcar Cabral said it best when he said culture is the seed of resistance. It's also defense. And in honor of all those brave warriors, Reverend Parker, Sister Hamer, Annie Devine, and all of those who left too soon. She named so many of them, and I said that I would have to just say how it's been a long time since I heard the name Eleanor Bumpurs. And Makani, thank you for bringing her back into my memory and into my consciousness as a way of understanding why I do this work. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. If you know it, sing it. Turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Now, if we were singing it like that back in the day, we wouldn't have made it. We wouldn't have made it. And those of us standing in black skin might have been still at the bottom of a slave ship. Come on, give me some pep in your step now. Come on. Do I need to come down? I need to come down because y'all think I'm playing with you. All right, now let's do it again. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, no, turn me around. Oh, no, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. And then Fannie would say this one, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let me hear you. This little light of mine. That's right, you can clap. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now I'm throwing this one in for Cheryl and Makani. They went on the website and found one of Serious Business's numbers, high tech. So I'm gonna throw a little bit of this one in for you, Cheryl. Trips to the moon, satellites, skyscrapers and computers. This is not just a passing phase. It's part of the high technology age. Check it out, find out, know what this technology is all about. You got a right to know, find out, gotta know what this technology is all about. Paul and Silas, bound in jail, got no money to pay their bail. What we gonna do? Keep our eyes on the prize. Hold on. Y'all too shy. Y'all too shy. You're too quiet. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Now this one is for Makani. Only one thing we did right was to stay in the struggle and fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Come on, a little louder on the last. This is the last thing I'm doing. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Now for the church people. River of Jordan is deep and wide. Freedom surely on the other side. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Now this last time we really got to do it. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Freedom now. Freedom now. Freedom now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jaribu. Thank you so much, Makani, for letting us know of her amazing talents and bringing a little bit of 1964 here in the room with us today and a little bit of that freedom that we are all hoping for. So I would be remiss in closing this session if I did not ask you all to support and stewardship our work. There is a postcard on the table if you would like to make a financial contribution. You could go to our website at uccmediajustice.org. As you all know, we can only do the work as much as we have partners to help us in it. As I said a moment ago, we're going to have two sessions right after this lecture. We're just going to quick clear the room and come back. We're going to have a discussion of religion in the media with Dr. Robert Jones of the Public Religion, Jean Policinski, Reverend Ben Guess of the UCC, and I'll be asking some questions. And then later, Jean Policinski is going to interview Richard Prince, talking about diversity in the media and journalism and what we can do about it. So I hope you will stay after that short break. I thank you so much for joining us. I thank so much our honorees, Chairman Wheeler, Catherine Sandoval, Makani Themba, all of you for doing the wonderful work that you do, for allowing us to share your stories and your achievements with everyone and to lift you up. So I wish you all a wonderful day and hope that you will stay for the rest of the programming this morning. Thank you.